Let's now bring in Terrell County, Texas Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland, a friend of the show, and also Fred Hicks, Democratic strategist and president of the Hicks Evaluation Group. Gentlemen, good morning to you both. Sheriff, I'm just curious, that quote that I just read off the top, your response to it and other law enforcement officers' response to that who live along the border.
Hey, first of all, good morning. Thank you for having me back. And look, it's furthest from the truth. I actually worked in Douglas, Arizona, where she's going to today. And of course, I was a Border Patrol agent under the Trump administration, as well as those prior 3 administrations before President Trump, and then portion of this administration before retiring to take over as sheriff. And I tell you, what we experienced under President Trump was the safest and most secure border. And I don't just say that to be, to counter what the left is saying. I lived it. I worked it. Look, I'm a lifelong resident of the border. I've either lived on the border or I've served as U.S. Border Patrol agent or a sheriff along our border. And what we've seen this last 3.5 years is completely the worst thing we've experienced along our southwest border, certainly in my lifetime and well before that.
Yeah, I know you and I have talked dozens of times on this show about just being stretched thin. Fred, I want to play a bit of sound because the Harris campaign just released this new ad on border security that begins airing today, actually, in Arizona and other battleground states. Take a look.
Kamala Harris has never backed down from a challenge. She put cartel members and drug traffickers behind bars, and she will secure our border. Here's her plan: hire thousands more border agents, enforce the law, and step up technology.
Fred, what do you make of this ad and her really going on the offense here? This is, I mean, love her or not, this is not her strong suit. This is kind of Trump's X factor, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so this has definitely been a place where Donald Trump has polled a lot better than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden when President Biden was still the nominee in running in this race. And so I do want to first say thank you to Sheriff for his service, both as a Border Patrol and in law enforcement. And as someone who's not in law enforcement, but I represent more than a dozen sheriffs across Georgia and other places, I have a great appreciation for the work that they do. And that being said, I think this is very smart for Vice President Harris to tackle this issue because it is an issue. It's not as strong in polling as the economy, but it is an issue. And Arizona is a state that she wants to win. So this is about both having success in the campaign, but also setting the stage to govern successfully and to deal with a very pressing issue.
Yeah, I know that appreciation goes a long way. And it's nice to have civil discourse here. You know, we can agree to disagree. Sheriff, when she comes today, is there anything that she can say that would make you or residents feel differently about her and how she would handle things? What are you hoping for?
There really isn't, because you have to look at this last 3.5 years, what's happened along the border. And since I've taken over sheriff just 2.5 years ago, look, we've had 27 deaths since this administration, since I took over as sheriff and then under this administration. But before that, the prior year before me becoming sheriff, we had 12 deaths. So, we've had 39 deaths in this county since this administration took over. Before that, we'd have maybe 1 death a year. And in almost 30 of those, I've actually touched those bodies and put them in body bags. And those are from people trying to cross our border. Our highest watermark for illegal alien apprehensions when compared to fiscal year 2020 was 417% arrests by the U.S. Border Patrol, and then a 467% increase in gotaways. Look, and like Mr. Hicks said, hey, I'm an American, regardless of who wins. I'm going to continue to do my job. Yeah. And I appreciate his remarks there. But, this is almost a last-ditch effort at the border 40 days before the election, just to try to say, hey, we recognize what's going on. We want to make it better. Yeah. But again, if you look at her record, it couldn't be furthest from the truth.
And Fred, to be fair, let me let you get in the last word. And what does she need to do to prove to voters that if she's elected and is in office come January, she'll provide something different at the border than what we've seen the last 4 years?
I would say this, in so many ways, the world and America is very different from 2020 post-COVID and to the world beforehand. And so with that being said, the administration has done a lot of work. And I can't speak to Douglas County specifically, but the fact is that border crossings are at an all-time low. The fact, and she'll talk about this, is that there was a bipartisan bill that Donald Trump tanked in the Senate that would have taken very aggressive action on this front, and that there is a humane way to uphold the law and protect the citizens in places like like Douglas County and to move America forward. The reality is that this version of Donald Trump is talking more in sound bites rather than pushing sound public policy. His answer is deport them all. And we know that issues, whether it's immigration, healthcare, or whatever, are way more nuanced than that. So we need to move beyond the sound bites and to give people like the sheriff there the tools that he needs and the Border Patrol and strengthen Border Control to do what they need to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of voters, no matter what side you're on, are wanting more than just sound bites and platitudes right now. They're looking for real change along the border. Fred Hicks, Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland, thank you both, gentlemen, so much for joining me on a Friday morning.